Good morning, traders. It is 4:32 a.m. This is a live trade recap. I took one trade in the pre-market, nice and quick trade, and it was on Lmfa. So here's where I started my recording. I've gotten the habit of as soon as 4 a.m. comes in, I shut down Webull and restart it just to help the pre-market watch list refresh. And let's see. So Lmfa was the number one stock being traded, organized by volume. So it had over 47,000 shares at 4 a.m. So right off the bat, it was moving. It was up 88%. I think that is including the aftermarket. But yeah, and then there wasn't really anything else that was in my price range and low float in the top 3 volume. So Lmfa, ALRN I think was number 4, but it quickly was dropping off. I was watching it on my laptop, so I eventually took that off the watch list. I had a whole bunch of lines on here from who knows when, but I think from quite a while ago. So they don't mean a whole lot. But I liked the way it looked on the daily chart. Obviously, it ran up way back here, but that's like in the summer. So there's a good chance that it could close the gap. Right now, it was around 449, so I mean, it's actually very close to closing that gap. Okay, so here we are on the watch list. So this is the actual high of the aftermarket. Actually, this is a little bit above because I kind of marked it out roughly. Here's where I kind of clean it up. So there's the actual, I guess 395 was the high of the aftermarket. So obviously this thing broke through that high, which is my signal to look for an entry. So now I'm just riding this pullback, waiting to see, and there you see it took off ALRN, waiting for an entry, which for me is when a 1 minute candle breaks the high of the previous candle. This is an ABCD pattern, even though it's not maybe the most traditional looking. Here's A, here's B, and now here's the pullback. This pullback is pretty deep, but this happens a lot in the pre-market. And one thing I like is that there was a ton of volume on these first 2 candles, and then less volume on each of these red candles. And notice how it's like selling off perfectly, kind of stepping down. And these candles are much smaller than these candles, so that's a good sign that there's buyers that are going to be waiting to get in on this thing after this pullback, just like I am. So I'm feeling pretty good about this setup at this point. So I'm just waiting for that 1 minute candle to make a new high. So now this does it. And this is pretty much like an ideal entry because you see how small this candle is relative to these other ones. That means that my risk is going to be very low. And I think the high of this candle here was 384. So I was looking for 385. So I'm watching over here. There's 385. I think I was a little slow on my entry. I wasn't quite sure. Yeah, there we go. So there I entered. I got filled at 386. So my ideal was 385. So let's see. I wonder if I put. Yeah, so 385. And really, when I got in this thing, 370 was the bottom of the candle. So my 2-hour target based on my ideal entry was 415, and then based on my actual entry was 386, and then the actual bottom of that candle when it finished forming was all the way up at 422. But I think I had put this one. This was what I was trading off of, this was actually the high of this candle. So yeah, I just used this candle to calculate my 2R. So doing that, it just makes it that much more likely that I'm going to get filled. Not necessarily the best way to do it, because obviously you're going to leave a little bit on the table doing that. So this is me actually putting it in real time. So that's where I got my 2-hour target from. And originally I said I'm going to sell 100% at 2-hour. But then I thought, this is such a great setup that this thing is likely to go, and plus you had this high 449. So I thought this is likely to go further. So let me just do 75% at 412. So there I'm just putting my stop loss line in. That red line represents if the price goes down below there, then I stop out. So this is a nice easy trade when this happens, because I got in and it never even really went below my entry. It just kept going up. So that's pretty much ideal, and that shows a lot of strength. So I didn't feel the need to pull this down early, and I just held strong, and I was able to sell 75% of my shares at 412. And then I thought about putting in another limit order, but I said, I could just use my hotkeys to take out more shares if I want. So now this thing's starting to reverse. So it's kind of interesting that it went, let's see, did it go, it didn't go to 415, it went to 414, I think. So it looks like a lot of other people had the same idea I did. And that's not that surprising, because that 2-hour all or nothing trading, I think, is pretty popular with established traders. So yeah, this thing tops out at 414. Let me just see. Yeah, so probably people that got in at 385, or they were using that same candle like I was. Yeah, because if you actually, so Webull was showing me 370 for the bottom, but it was actually 368. So if we do, 384 by 368 will get you to 416 for a 2-hour target. And so it looks like most people were just 2 cents below there. Because this selling is from all these buyers back here. They might have also been looking at the top of this candle, possibly. So then this thing continues further. When it hits 425, I hit my sell half key. I get filled at 421 because it's kind of bouncing around. I mean, I only had 3 shares, so it just takes off 1 share at that point. But again, this is practice. Maybe one day I'll be, instead of trading 11 shares, it'll be 110 shares. And then at this point, that'll be, 30 shares, and half of that would be 15. You get the idea. So I was just holding this thing, and I was playing with the 2-hour calculators. You could see. So my next target was near the high of pre-market. So 449 was the high of pre-market, and there it goes to 449, and then I try to sell half again. And it didn't fill me so I pulled it down, and I got filled at 443. So that was a good sell there. And now I just decided to hold. I was trying to enter my trade here on my Facebook trading group page, but I was a little late on that, and that's something new for me, so it's going to take me a while to get the hang of that. But you can see this thing selling off big time. So it looks like, the ultimate target for a lot of people was this pre-market high, and that makes sense. So at this point, I was kind of contemplating holding all the way to my stop loss just to see if this thing runs much further. And it really doesn't. I'm just putting in some information on my trading group. Yeah, so then once I see this trend upward fail, and right now it's getting kind of late in the pre-market for me, I decide to sell a rest. I've got a pretty busy day ahead of me, so I'm looking forward to getting back to bed and then getting a few more hours sleep. I'm not going to be able to trade at the open because of what I got going on later. So this is it for me. I did enter everything into my, let me just show you where I sold out. Right there. And made 318 off of that trade. There it is right there. And here's all the data in my spreadsheet. So that's the only trade I took in the pre-market. The total cost of that trade was $42.46. So that was almost a 7.5% return, which is really, really good. That's one of my biggest returns this month. And it was about 0.6% on the whole account. So my goal per day, if I can get an average of 1% per day after 6 trades, that's ideal. Like here on the 6th, I got the same percentage change basically, and that was I think that day I took, oh no, that was one of these days where I only took one trade. I was looking at the one above. Yeah, because that was a big return on that trade. All right, so pretty good. I guess what I was looking at was up here where I had 1.43%, but that was after like 5 trades or something. Yeah, 5 trades. So it took me 5 trades to get 1.43, and today I got 0.6% with 1 trade, so that's pretty good. And that's probably going to be my only trade for today because, like I said, I'm busy for the rest of the day. So tomorrow I'll be able to trade both the pre-market and the open, and likely the aftermarket as well. So that's going to be it for me for trading today, and I hope that you guys are going to trade well today and follow your plan, stick to your strategy, always take your stop loss. And of course, let me know if you have any questions about this trade or any other that I take in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.